I'd like to discuss a new topic. You know, for the last 3 years, much has been said about the contract of the City Council with the people of Huntington Beach. I'd like to remind everybody here of those two, points of the contract. The contract said that since Huntington Beach is a charter city, we will not have to follow the state housing mandate. In fact, we were so certain of that the battle cries will take the state to court and we will win. Now, what's happened 3 years later? Huntington Beach has lost its case in all the state courts. The California Supreme Court has said they're not going to hear our appeal. And on the federal side, our only possible outcome is the federal Supreme Court, who may or may not grant the ability for us to hear our appeal. That's the first part of the promise of the contract with the people of Huntington Beach. The second part is more elusive, and I've asked the City Council to give us a cost, because the other main point, because a lot of people were concerned, what's it going to cost for us to file all these lawsuits? And many of you may remember, we were told that since we have a city attorney, that it will not cost the city any money to fight these cases in court. For sure, we've lost $3.5 million.
Where's that number coming from?
The Kennedy Commission.
Okay, that was before.
That's still we lost.
That was the previous council lawsuit back. Okay, but that was back in 2018.
Also,
so that was back in 2018.
Also, and I think we talked about this, Casey, the fact that you guys didn't file a housing element exposed our city to $7 million in penalties.
So where are you getting that number from?
It's $600,000 a month. We talked about
this. But where's that number coming from?
It's in the statute. We talked about that, Casey.
No, the court just ruled that we're not paying any fees.
I think they deferred it because they wanted to see what we're going to do.
Okay, but I don't.
But please,
no, but
Ken,
that's why we're doing this, to get the facts on the record. There's not $7 million. There's not $600,000 a month.
Well, let me
fines.
finish my thought. Okay. Because what I'd like to do now, and I asked this at the last City Council meeting, because we don't know what the total costs are going to be. I agree.
Sure.
I would like you to promise that you will give us a full accounting of all of the costs that the city costs, penalties, fines, and court costs that the city will have to pay as a result of the fact that we fought this particular statute. That's a fair request, and I appreciate.
Sure. I mean, but the cases have been adjudicated, and that'll all be public record when it happens. But Ken, real quick, if I may, I have my contract right here. So your point, the bullet point 1 said, give City Attorney Michael Gates the authority to fight state mandates again, including housing mandates. That's what it said. Nothing about charter city. Nothing about anything. I just want to get, that's why I love these town halls, because I get to address your comments and questions, and that's what that first part of the contract said. The second part said, implement the 90-day plan to combat homelessness and clean up our streets. If you guys saw that at the City Council meeting on Tuesday, the last 3 years we've achieved all-time homeless reduction numbers in the history of our city. The last 3 years.
Okay, but that was my question.
Okay, but you're talking about the contract, so I have it right here. I want to read it.
Your contract with respect to Fighting Arena was the point, and I think.
But that's what I can read it again.
You're being less than candid, because you know darn good and well your cornerstone for Fighting Arena was because we were a charter city.
Sure.
You know that.
Sure.
So, okay, so please don't confuse the issue.
But Ken, you said what the contract said. I want to get on record what it actually said.
Well, what you just said was we were going to fight it, and I'm just
That's what the contract said, that we signed at the pier.
And I'm just telling you what the discussion was during the process of this thing. You said we're going to fight it because we're a charter city. We don't have to follow the state housing mandate. I mean, that was the essence of that part of it. And the other part was the fact of representation, that because we have a city attorney, it wasn't going to cost us any money. A lot of the people here in this room were very concerned about the cost of the city of fighting this battle against the state. And the representation is that would not cost any people any money. And what I'm asking you to do today, as I did at the City Council meeting, but there's a lot more people here today, is I'd like your promise that you would tell us all of the costs, fees, penalties, and court costs that the city has to pay as a result of our fight for housing. Do I have your word to do that?
Absolutely. I will, because that'll come out anyway. But I would like to counter, Ken, with the cost of what it to our city of not fighting that lawsuit, and I'll tell you why. And that's why we got elected. So if you guys know, California gave Huntington Beach the highest amount of housing mandates per acre of any city in California. We are 95% built out, okay? 13,368 units. 8,000 of those are in one of the 3 affordability requirements. Here's the math. When you develop a project, I'm a developer, 20% of those units are in one of the affordability requirements, right? So take that 8,000 divided by 20%, it would take 40,000 units to build and deliver those 8,000 affordable units. We have 80,000 housing units, apartments, homes, condos in our city. We'd have to increase our housing stock by 50% with the same finite roads, infrastructure, water table elements. Our cities are always planned very carefully over many years through our general plan. It takes in every city's unique characteristics, our geography, our topography, our sensitive areas like the wetlands. You guys know that building on Beach and Ellis, Elon? I always point to about that's the poster child for high density. That building, it has 274 units. If we had to build 40,000 more units, we'd have to build 145 more of those buildings in our city. That will destroy our city forevermore. So whatever the cost is, if it's $100,000, if it's $500,000, if it's $1 million in legal fees, to fight this, to protect the future of our city, because when those buildings are up, they're gonna be there forever. Me personally, I would spend that money to protect our city with every fiber of my being. I've said it on the campaign trail. We signed a contract with the voters and they elected us.
Casey, I appreciate that, and as we've said over the years, I respect the fact that the people voted you on that basis.
Sure.
Okay, and I also told you that I thought there might be alternative ways to try to work with the state to fill our housing requirement. But the point was, you told the people, like I said, that we will win the case in court.
No. Go back to, Ken,
Okay.
Go back to when I was sworn in 2022. I have the video on my phone. I can play it for you if you want.
Okay,
I specifically said, no, I want to get the record straight, Ken. This is why we're doing the town halls.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically said we're going to fight. We're not going to win every fight. We're not. Those are my exact words on the wall. But if we lose, we will find a new path to take, and we will always keep fighting to protect Huntington Beach, the suburban beach community it is. And it's a misnomer that we haven't delivered affordable housing. We just said it on Tuesday.
Okay.
We're top 5 in the county,
Casey,
and we're top 5 in population.
Casey,
We are delivering
talking
affordable
around the
housing
issue.
at our current population rate in the county. So that's another misnomer.
You're talking around the issue, Casey.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm correcting the facts,
No,
Ken.
because, as I said, when we were talking about this whole thing 3 years ago, we talked about the fact that, yes, we have an onerous requirement. But at the same time, okay, so I'll ask you this then.
Sure.
Why are we appealing it to the Supreme Court, and what is it going to cost for us to file that appeal?
The California Supreme Court?
No, the Californians already turned us away. The federal Supreme Court.
We have appealed to the federal Supreme Court.
Yes, and I'd like to say what the legal basis is that for now.
So when you have to adopt the housing element, this is pretty fascinating. So California state law says every project has to abide by CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, right? You have to make sure you're protecting the environment. Except when it comes to these housing elements, because they're so massive, these units are so massive, these projects are so massive. So the state says, well, actually when these housing elements, we want you guys to push aside CEQA and not abide by it. And so in order to do that, we as council members have to sign what's called a statement of overriding consideration, which means that we have to sign this document saying we feel these high density projects are more important to the unknown negative impacts to the environment. So we have to push aside CEQA. When I got elected, I said, I'm not signing that because I don't agree with it. I don't believe in damaging the environment and pushing aside CEQA where every other project has to abide by it. They said, well, if you don't sign it, we won't adopt your housing element. And we said, well, you're violating my First Amendment rights. You're forcing my speech. And so that process is now being appealed to the federal Supreme Court because they're violating one of the many arguments, but the main one is like, you're violating our First Amendment rights. You're forcing us to adopt a statement of overriding considerations.
Okay. A lot of people here probably are getting very bored with this discussion, but I think the point is, as we discussed, Casey, I talked to you when you guys didn't file the housing element. I said that not filing the housing element did not violate your fight against the state for the fighting for the housing units. And I said, you could have filed your report with a condition saying that you protest it.
No, you can't.
But rather than doing that,
No.
you went ahead and decided to go all in, and as a result, potentially, and I'm saying potentially, and you know the statute said $600,000 a month. You know that. Don't shake your head. You know we've
The
talked
judge
about
just
it.
ruled that we do not have to pay penalties.
Oh, that's disappointing because we talked about it.
Okay.
You know we did. I was in your office. We talked about it.
Tank Farms is single-family homes.
So anyway, I guess, like I said, I want people to understand. See, part of the problem, what we've been having when we're sitting in the audience, is the fact that there's a lot of omissions. I don't have any personal problem with you, Casey.
I don't either, Ken.
I just have a problem with the fact that sometimes we're just not told all of the facts.
That's why I'm here. I just told you
Okay.
the answers. If you,
Okay.
I told
So,
you,
like I said,
yeah.
you will write a special report for the people of Huntington Beach. We won't have to comb through all the public records. You will present to the people of Huntington Beach the cost of fighting the housing. Yes. Is that yes? Is that a promise
said
to all
those,
of us?
yes, those costs will come out when this final case is adjudicated.
No, you will. There will be a special report accumulating all the costs, not just respect to this case, but all the other
It will
cases.
be shown to the public, Ken. Whether what mechanism, a report, a document, a statement, it will come out. But again,
No, I want your.
I think the investment, even if it's up to $1 million in legal fees to fight to protect Huntington Beach from just permanent damage to our finite resources, is worth the fight. I said it. I'll say it here. I'll say it tomorrow. I'll say it till the rest of my life. And that's why I got elected.
And I don't disagree with your right to do that. I'm just saying I want you to actually say that you will prepare one report.
I just said it, Ken.
No,
I said it
no,
3
you
times.
said you will.
Ken, I will, Ken. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.